Here we are again, folks. This is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. So proud to be with you today. Listen, what do we have in Jesus Christ? What do we have? I can tell you what I have that I didn't have. I have an abundant life. And before, the life that I had was not abundant. It was a terrible life, following the devil and following what he would have. Abundant life, Jesus said, if we'll follow him, we'll come to a place where we can have cleanness in our life. Are you clean? Am I clean? That's a question I ask myself all the time. Am I clean? Am I clean enough to pray out loud to the Lord? Am I clean enough to say, Our Father, this morning, Our Father in the morning when you get up, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day, Lord, our daily bread, and forgive us our debts. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Am I free enough to be able to pray that? Because I'm clean enough. You got to stay clean. God will show you your uncleanness. He shows me mine. You say, Brother Peter, you've been saved 40 years. Are you still dealing with uncleanness? Yes. Unclean thoughts, unclean actions, unclean mind. This body is not saved. My soul inside of this body is saved. This body is not saved. And in Jesus, I know that my inside, it belongs to him. And I'm supposed to devote my outside to him. It takes constant. You have to be constantly cleansing your body, just like you take a bath. I have to take a bath every single day. I suppose I don't even work that day. I still got to take a bath that day. Because they're just living in this world, and with the sun shining and whatever, you get dirty. I'm sitting here right now actually sweating. It is actually, I don't know, must be 80 degrees in here in this office. I need to stop putting my air on at night on low or something. But anyway, here we are. I have an abundant life. What are my ambitions? My ambitions when I was in the world were hateful ambitions. Get up and swill a beer down in the morning. I plan on where I'm going to get my liquor for the day. And just a hateful life and what I was going to do. And then I came to the place of abstinence. And November 5th, 1972, when 3 o'clock in the morning when the Lord saved me, he made me abstinent from alcohol. And from that day forward, I have come to a place to where I can learn on a daily basis how to walk with Christ, how to walk closely. You say, Brother Peter, you're talking about 40 years now. It's a learning process. It never is not a learning process. You never achieve 100% walking in the flesh, walking after God. You have an adversary. It's a great adversary. He does not want you to walk after the Lord. If he can take a 40-year-old Christian and cause him to get a blight on himself that would cause him to have a breakdown physically or mentally or spiritually in any way, shape, or form, he's going to try to do that. How often is he going to try to do that? He's going to try to do that 24/7s. He's going to try to do that 24/7s. Well, after I got saved and the Lord took the alcohol away from me and everything, one of the very first things that God did for me, he showed me that he owned 10% of every dollar that I make, that I bring into my house. He owns 10% of the food that I bring into my house. He owns 10% of my clothes, my wares. He owns 10% of everything that I have. And what is the first fruit of everything that I have? That is 10%. Do you have a nice jacket hanging in your closet? Do you have a nice shirt? Several nice shirts. So many shirts, you need to take one out today, count them, and count 10 of them up, and pick the one you like the best. The one you like the very best. Take it in your hand out of the closet and put it in your car and give it to somebody today. That's 10%. That's the beginning of being obedient to God. And when you're obedient to God, in the Old Testament, he talked about giving 10% of your flock, you heard. Giving 10% of your animals in abundance life, in your abundance life. God will make everything plenteous in your hand, in your fruit, in the fruit of your body. He said in the fruit of your cattle and the fruit of your land in Deuteronomy 39:9. He said, I will make everything for you abundant. There's only one thing I request from you, and that is that you give me back my 10%. I'm going to make your cattle be born spotless. I'm going to make your sheep be born spotless. I'm going to make your chickens lay good eggs. I'm going to prosper you if you will be obedient. It's called tithes. It's called tithes. And tithes are the thing that God requires of every person that belongs to him. He requires tithes. And what is a tithe? A tithe is 10%. 10%. Listen to this command to the Jews. And all the tithe of the land, whether it be the seed of the land, listen to that now, the seed of the land, or the fruit of the tree. You go out and pick a bushel. You figure what 10% of that bushel is. Take it to your neighbor. And of the fruit of the tree is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord. And concerning the tithe of the herd of the flock, even whatsoever passeth under the rod, the tenth now shall be holy unto the Lord. That's Leviticus 27, 30 and 30, 72. Listen, let me tell you what. You say 32. You say, Brother Peter, we live in the New Testament. Yes, we do. But this law of God has never changed. Not ever. It has never changed. Can you give yourself into good health? I pray that you can. And I practice that you can. And I may be under an attack from the devil physically. I may be under an attack for one reason or another. But I do not want to be under an attack because of not being a giver. Not doing the 10% thing. Listen, there's nothing worse, to me, nothing worse than selfishness. And another thing you need to do, you need to give the good. You need to give the good. He says the first fruit. Listen to this one. Malachi 3, 9 and 10. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in my house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you, listen to this, the windows of heaven, and pour out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. Malachi 3, 9 and 10. You want a blessing on your life? You got to do that. Now another thing. Here you are, you're working. You're in the church. You're working on your neighbors. You would love your neighbors to come to church. They're not going to come to church. They're not going to come. They've got to be brought. What would cause them to want to come with you? I got news for you. The 10% that you're going to take to your neighbor is going to help you say to them, I love you, I appreciate you, I know you're my neighbor, we don't get to see each other very often, but I want to just give you this jar of pickles. I'll give you this apple pie. My wife made banana bread, I want to give you a loaf of banana bread. And spread out in the neighborhood. Peter, point at myself, Peter, have you failed at that? Yes, I have. Have you done that in time? In fact, yes, I have. Have you done that lately? No, I haven't. Have you talked to your neighbors about coming to church? Yes, I have. But improperly, evidently. I have not brought my neighbors to church or got my neighbors to church. What is your problem? Your problem is you're not right. You've got to work on it. You've got to get on the ball. You have got to work on it. You've got to show yourself friendly if you want to be friends. And so you got to work on it. By faith. By faith. Romans 5:2. By faith whom also we have access by faith into the grace wherein we stand, and rejoice in hope of the glory of God. I want the glory of God on my life. How am I going to get the glory of God on my life if I don't act like it? You got to act. You got to act. It's action. Words without action are just words. If you're going to just give a bunch of words and have no action, you're not going to be any count. If you're going to live for the Lord, you got to live for the Lord. That means to act for the Lord on a daily basis. These here tracts, these things right here, they're pieces of paper that say if you died right now, would you go to heaven? It's called a tract. Everywhere, everybody that you meet, if you've got one of these in your pocket, you can leave it with them. And they can look at it. And they may look at your websites. And they may read the inside if they're not saved and get saved. But if they are saved, it may build a fire into them. And that's what you're supposed to do. You start a fire with a very small match. And this can start a big fire. And so, access to God we can have. Who shall ascend into the hill of the Lord? Or who shall stand in a holy place? He that hath clean hands. Wow. And a pure heart. Wow. You say, Brother Peter, you talking about me? No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about me having that. Excuse me. I'm talking about me. A 40-year-old Christian. 1972, 82, 92, 2002, 2016. Right at 40 years. I'm talking about me having a clean heart and having clean hands, a pure heart. Who hath not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully? Psalm 24, 3 and 4. Do what you say and say what you do. Do what you say. Do it. And if you do it, you are able to say it. I do my 10%. This is what God said to do. I'm 74. I worked 12, 13 hours yesterday. I'm going to work 12, 13 hours today. And I'll work 12, 13 hours all the way up until next Sunday. And I will do that. And I'm going to be active. And in my activity, I'm going to be trying to get those to bring those who will not come. I'm going to try everybody I meet. I'm going to try to give the opportunity to make Jesus. Every person. If all the seed belongs to God, 10% of it needs to be put into the ground. Well, what is the seed that you have, Brother Peter, that nobody sees? They do see it in a sense, and they don't see it in a sense. That is sowing the seed of the gospel. I have 100% of the gospel in me. Well, the least I could do is shed 10% of it. Do you not think so? Why, yes. And I'm going to have the right to open the gates of righteousness and walk in one day. Except I won't have to open them. When Jesus sees me coming, he'll open them. When he brings those that are his up to those heavenly gates, he'll open them. And by the way, he said they're never closed. He opens those gates and they're never closed. The righteous can walk right in. And they're only closed to the unrighteous. Jesus said, I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out. He shall go in and out, and find pasture. John 10 and 9. So I can walk in and out of heavenly places. And I can enter into the throne room of God if I will. How do you do that, Brother Peter? You get by yourself and you pray and you talk with God. He's in you. He's with you. He's omnipresent. He's always present. He is omniscient. He is always. He's everything. How do you do that? You stay clean. Are you clean enough, Brother Peter, today to feel free to talk to the Lord? I'm afraid that this frail body and the temptation to stray away from doing that which we should do affects us so bad that sometimes we're ashamed to pray. Sometimes we're ashamed to say, Lord, I'm ashamed that I think the way I do sometimes, or do the way I do sometimes. So we need to be very careful how we walk. Walk circumspectly, the Bible says, by faith, by whom also we have access by faith unto the grace wherein we stand, and rejoice in hope of the glory of God. Romans 5 and 2. By faith. And by faith, I'm going to do this excerpt. By faith, I'm going to fight my feeling of inferiority as a Christian. How do we fail? We fail so bad. We fail so bad. And we need to really, really stay on ourselves. This is what God says. Listen to this one. This is probably one of the best ones that I need for my own self today. James 4 and 8. Draw near to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Whoa, I'm like David. The Lord is my shepherd today. He's my shepherd. I shall not want, meaning I do not have to want any of the pleasures of this world for the physical man. I don't have to want the pleasures of this world for the physical man. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And he's going to take me through this valley. You say, Brother Peter, you're in the valley? Yes. Been in the valley for a day or two. Have you been working? Have you been going? Have you been doing? I've been doing all that stuff and everything. The valley doesn't show up. The valley's on the inside of a man. The valley is inside of a man. You can be sitting in a church listening to a good message. You can be doing a lot of things. And the devil can come and hinder you. We had a goo-goo woman in the church the other day. She got a baby. She's at the front row, tossing the baby up and down, goo-gooing the baby, doing everything. 7, 8, 10 people sitting around her. Can't even hear the preacher because of her. She's a total disturbance. Won't put the baby in the nursery. We have a nursery, good nursery. Talk to the lady, put the baby in the nursery. No, don't put the baby in the nursery. And the devil will use that. A Christian lady, this Christian lady now. And it will interfere with everything. And you know what God showed me? Peter, you're looking at that woman, you're looking at what she's doing, and you have the same problem in you in the sense of the word, that your inside thing is a problem between you and me. You're goo-gooing a baby. If there's anything, I'm talking about anything in your life that you're doing, you're goo-gooing a baby. I don't know if we're getting hot or what, but my computer is not doing good. And it's not a good thing. By faith, whom also we have access by faith unto this grace wherein we stand. Rejoice in hope and the glory of the God. Romans 2 and 5. Let us together today focus on the Lord. Focus on what we need to. For every word, I say unto you, that every idle word that man shall speak, they shall give account thereof. And the day of judgment, Matthew 12 and 36. For our stewardship. But God said unto him, Thou fool, this night shall be required of thee, thy soul. Then who shall those things be which thou hast provided? Luke 12:20. We're talking about tithing. And we're talking about a man here that had stuff that he kept. Hey, when he died, who got him? When he died, who got him? You may have to listen to this without watching it because I'm not having a good day with my machine today. Our thoughts in the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ according to my gospel. Romans 2:16. We will be judged for our thoughts. We will be judged for our thoughts. For our deeds, for we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that every one may receive the things done in his body, according to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad. 2 Corinthians 5:10. To God wherein they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you, who shall give account to him that is ready to judge, and quick, the quick and the dead. 1 Peter 4 and 5. God is going to judge all matters. All matters. And he's going to judge them righteously. So therefore we need to know that we are at all times. Let's not be talebearers. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among the people. Don't say things out of school. I just talked about a lady a minute ago throwing a baby up and down. Well, yes, it happened, and yes, it's terrible for it to happen. And it happens in churches all over the world. Not only in ours, it happens in all kinds of churches. Not only that, there are people play with their telephones. There are distractions. The devil will use anything to distract the people around you if you're not careful, and cause a great a problem. Jesus' name is blessed. And he said, blessed are ye, men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. Matthew 5:11. If you're going to give your tithe, you're going to give your tithe, and it's a funny thing. People will think you're foolish. They'll think you're foolish. And blessed are ye, who are reproached for the name of Jesus Christ. If we're living for God, people are going to think that we're unusual. Let me tell you something about Christians. Christians are the redeemed of God. We ought to be able to stand. Go ahead and just stand that. If people want to talk about us, that's not going to bother us. Sticks and stones might break my bones. Those words, they don't have to hurt us. We can go ahead and let anybody say anything they want to say. And turn around and say, hey, you know something? I was that guy that you are right now. One time in my life, I used to be just like that. And I used to mock the Christian. I used to cuss them. I used to make fun of them. Make fun of their wives, their families. Make fun of their God. And then one day God grabbed me and said, you're going to be the one now getting made fun of. Man is born unto affliction, cometh from the dust, sprung out of the ground, born to trouble, as the sparks fly upward. Job 5, 6, and 7. On this earth, there is going to be trouble. There's trouble for everything. A beautiful tree springs out of the ground, grows up beautifully for a while, and one day dies. This is a temporal earth, not permanent. And because it is temporal, it's going to happen that way. The example the prophets set before us, they were our brethren. They still are. Job is my brother in heaven. He is one of my mentors. Peter is one of my mentors. Elijah, Elisha, Jacob, Esau, all of those guys. Abraham, Isaac, Noah was righteous in the eyes of the Lord. He is one of my mentors. He shows a picture that he was the last righteous man walking on this earth during a period of time of the history of this earth. There's coming a day like that. There's coming another day like that. God said, I won't destroy the earth again by water. But I am going to destroy this earth again one day by fire. I'm going to cast it into the lake of fire, and it will be there forever burning. And those who are not in me, who have not said, Jesus, forgive me, I'm a sinner, come in my heart and save my soul, will be on that earth forever. We are to have an affection for people, but not for the things of this earth. Our affection is to see others be saved, and we need to do that. We need to teach the teaching of Christ. He says, give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, shall men give unto your bosom. For with the same measure that you meet withal, it shall be measured to you again. Luke 6:38. That's a principle that we must follow. We must not follow it because we're looking for the bounty. We must follow it knowing God is going to take care of us with the bounty that we need. The Bible said that it would be easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it would for a lost man to enter into the kingdom of heaven without Jesus Christ. So take that and look at it today. Our time's come and gone. We'll see you next time. It's Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word.